Welcome back. Here we are, end of August 2025, looking at a real estate market update here in West Hartford, Connecticut. Can't believe it's the end of summer. Kids are going back to school this week, and that always gives us indications on the real estate market. We're going to look at what's going on now, how it compared to last month, and what we're going to expect to see in the fall and the winter based on the numbers, right? We want to look at real data to give opinions and not just share opinion based off emotion or feeling. We want to have some data to provide some guidance. So if you're a seller and you're curious how this information affects the selling process or how you should prepare your home, just drop a comment below and I can email you or send you our free home sellers preparation checklist. Obviously, we can sell a home in any condition, but if you are looking to maximize value on the sale without overspending, and you're looking for a quick, easy checklist, happy to send that over. With that being said, let's dive into the numbers, let you know what I'm saying. I look at a few specific categories to determine what the market is doing. If we look at all the statistics, it can be overwhelming, and a lot of them, quite frankly, aren't as relevant, but there are 4 or 5 that really paint a good picture of the market. And the first one is the active inventory. So how many homes are active right now in West Hartford? There are 46 active single family homes to choose from. Last month, when we did this report, there were 45. So we saw an uptick, in terms of early spring and late winter. The inventory was lower, more in the 20s. We climbed up into the mid to high 40s. We actually hit 50s a few times over the past month. But right now, as of today, we're at 46. Kind of amazing, almost identical to last month. What we expect to see in the winter, year over year, typically as we head into the fall and start to get into November and December, it will start to decline, be less to choose from, historically speaking. So what does this mean? If you're a buyer, obviously, homes are going to come on throughout the year. At the same time, you probably won't have more to choose from in terms of choices than now and the next month is into September. After that, the inventory will start to decrease. So keep that in mind. It doesn't mean you should force a decision. It does mean you should just temper your expectations that you won't see the same velocity of new homes coming on the market that you've been used to the past 3 or 4 months. Okay. Next statistic that I want to look at here is sold properties. We want to see if we could see any trends here. And this is really just incredible. As of right now, over the past 30 days, there's been 55 single family homes that have sold in West Hartford. If we compare that to last month, it's 56. I mean, if we keep going month to month, we're in the mid 50s, right? That's been consistent, almost something you can count on. Every month, you can expect mid 50s homes to sell in West Hartford in terms of single families. Now, these 2 statistics we want to monitor closely, the inventory and the closed homes over the past 30 days, because these will start to paint a picture in terms of pricing and some other metrics that we're going to get into. As that inventory creeps up, if the sales stay the same, that will give the buyers more choices, which may cause a little bit of a decrease in prices or at least flattening in prices. So as of right now, it is very steady, same active, same sales. Next metric I want to look at here, days on market. Now this is an interesting one. Right now, over the past 30 days, the days on market is 9.9. No cause for alarm. That's still obviously very fast. However, we were right between 4 and 5 days on market for the 3 or 4 months prior as we've been doing these reports. So we've almost doubled days on market. That is a strong sign. There are less new buyers coming into the marketplace. So the closings are the same. We've noticed that. But with the days on market going up, that's a sign the pendings and future closings may pull back a little as we have less intensity in the market. Buyers are not as fast with their decision. There's not as much competition, although the competition's still out there, it's not as intense. So the buyers are a little slower to pull the trigger. We're going to monitor this to see if this is just a one-off because people were traveling in the summer, or if this is something that's going to continue and becomes a pattern here in town. Next thing I want to look at is median sales price. This one has been bouncing. If you've been watching our market reports, it's been different every month. Right now, past 30 days, median sales price in town is $560,000. And what's been interesting is this has been the most volatile stat we track month over month. Timing has mattered here, and there hasn't been a direct correlation in terms of our other statistic, but it is a big enough sample size to know that, there's some validity here. Just because your neighbor sold last month for X doesn't mean you're gonna sell it for X. The market is a volatile, fluid, moving being, and the median sales price is an indicator of that. And we've seen anywhere from 560 to 610 as the 30-day median sales price. So right now we're on the lower end of that, but that has been a pretty consistent range over the past 4 or 5 months as we've been doing these reports. Last statistic I want to look at, nothing too off the mark here, the list to sales price ratio. Over the past 30 days, we're at 108%. So on average, despite everything we've talked about, most homes are still selling over asking. Last month we were at 110%, so we've pulled back a little bit. Again, these are not drastic numbers. There's always going to be a little bit of a differential. This has been pretty consistent over the past 4 or 5 months as we've been doing these videos. As you've been high, 107, 108, 110, somewhere in between there, depending on the month. The interesting thing about this statistic, it is very strategy dependent, meaning if you are a seller and an agent that comes up with the strategy to list over the comps, highly over the comps, no matter how nice your home, those homes are tending to not go multiple offers. And some of them are even sitting on the market for a while and coming way down on price. The homes that really price right in line with the comps and that are well taken care of, those are the ones we are seeing have the most success and get up there in the 108% or so ratios. Now, everybody has heard the outliers here of the homes that have gone 100 grand, 200 grand over asking. That's not the norm. What I've seen is those stories are broadcast the loudest. So sellers have them in their head, and it sometimes can be the expectation that that's what's going to happen. These enormous gains of over asking. 8% is a lot. You get 10% over asking, that's a lot of money in most cases. That's a big differential. And if you price it with the right strategy, you set yourself up to do that. And you have the right agent and team and marketing approach. Now, I will say, in some circumstances when we're looking at comps, you can have this one-off comp. You got 3 or 4 comps in a certain range. And then you have this one-off comp that's kind of out of the blue. And everybody would of course love their home to sell in that price range. If you go and use that one-off comp as your indicator versus the 3 or 4 heavy data points here, I'm not saying it can't happen, but those are the cases where, again, it makes it harder to get that bidding war over asking price scenario because you're leveraging the top of the market anyway. You're narrowing it. In order to create the competition and the interest, you have to put it in line with where most homes are selling to give you the best chance at that competition and multi-offer situation from a strategy perspective, from a seller strategy perspective. Now savvy buyers are looking for the opposite, right? They're asking good questions when they're multiple offer situation to see if it's realistic or not for them to put in an offer based on their goal. And they're also looking for homes that are maybe sitting, that maybe were priced too high. Sometimes the ones that are sitting on the market for a few months, you can wiggle down lower and have nobody else fighting without rushing a decision as the homes that are getting all the attention and then that price gets bid up higher, right? So sometimes you can actually do a little bit better on price and get a great home. So these are all strategy conversations and things you want to look into with your agent. If you have questions on any of this or want to apply any of these thoughts to a specific property to purchase or list, again, my team and I, we are always happy to talk. We get calls, texts, emails all the time from people who watch these videos, so don't hesitate to reach out. I'm committed to doing these market updates every month because if there's one thing I've learned in real estate is things can switch in the blink of an eye, and a lot of the times it happens faster than we realize, and these data points can really give us an insight of when sometimes seeing ahead of the market before it happens. The biggest stat that this month that I would like everybody to take away and that we're going to continue to monitor is that 9.9 average days on market. That was a huge jump. That was doubled from what we've been seeing pretty consistently. So I'm going to really monitor that closely as we go to see what impact it may have on some of these other key data points. Hope this is helpful. Have a great month, and I'll be back later in the week with more videos.